Hi, welcome back to purchase order entry. I just wanted to mix things up a little bit this time, and what I thought we'd do is have a look at our order authorizers. These are obviously codes that you set up corresponding to the people within your organization. You'll notice that I have an authorizer called Ross, and this code importantly is exactly the same as my user logon code that I use for Visage. That's important for something we will see later on. The other things to note with my particular authorizer record is in terms of credit limit I have none, zero. Because I have a zero entered, that means basically I could go and spend $8 million or more because there's been no limits placed on me. The other alternative is I could have a number put in there. That number could be quite low, could be $100 or $200, which is what many people would trust me with, could even be lower, 1 cent. Or it may be a realistic number so that you may have people in the organisation who are allowed to spend up to $200 or $300. So you would put their limit associated with them. What I also have here is the potential for a password, and in our first video we saw the action of that. It just protects your code from being used by someone else. Of course, whoever has access to the maintenance screen can see the passwords and change them if need be as well, if you've forgotten. Also has the email address associated with this authorizer and whether by default they want to get a copy of orders sent to them. And as we'll see later on, that's more than just orders. As I said, my user code here so it knows who and what I am, and also the fact that I am associated or can raise orders for all suppliers. The other code I have here is my alter ego code. Where here I have a limit of 1 cent because that's what many people would trust me with. No password, a different email address, and that's just for clarification purposes here, I suppose, or illustration purposes, as we'll see. And that's it. So the two codes are similar, except this particular code, my alter ego code, only has a credit limit of 1 cent. Now I'll just quickly go and raise a purchase order. Doesn't matter who it's raised to, so as I said I will do this very quickly. Actually it probably does matter who it's raised to. It needs to be an actual supplier code. Some things you can't avoid. Now what I'm going to do here is raise a purchase order as my alter ego self. So I'm going to put my Ross L code in, and because I'm now allowed to raise orders from anyone, that's fine. I'm not going to worry about any of these other details just for the purpose of this exercise, although we know that we could change delivery dates, put in internal references, we can come and bring in standard libraries of delivery instructions and so forth. But I just want to quickly put a product on my purchase order. Not out to a job, I might just want one of those, and that's it, my purchase order is done. So at this stage I can save my purchase order, and as soon as I save my purchase order you'll see I get these 3 extra buttons coming up because there's now been a purchase order number allocated to me, so I can now print, email or fax. And I might decide I just want to print this purchase order. So we print it and we get this little message that says total order exceeds authorizer's limit. That was unfortunate because I was happy with that order. I wanted it to go off, so to speak. And the system has told me I can't do it. Most distressing. Oh, valid authorizers have been emailed. Your order will be printed if and when it's authorized. Well, that's handy. I'd like that to happen fairly soon. But what's happened as in the background of this is the system has gone and had a look at its list of authorizers. Whoops, and I just happen to be one of them. And at my main Ross Ferris email address, it said, look, this person, Ross's alter ego, has tried to print this order and it's been disallowed because it's over my authorization limits. The order number was 1518. Here's the supplier. This is what it was for, and these are the products that are actually involved. Now, effectively what this means is that the system has allowed me to enter the purchase order up, and I think I've authorised it, although I did get told straight away that my order hadn't actually gone. And that's more of an issue, I suppose, if I'd said I wanted to email the thing out. If I said save here and tried to email it, I'm going to get exactly the same message saying that, look, it's exceeded the limit. So the system has gone out, found the people that could potentially authorise this order, sent them an email message. Once more, I've got another one because I've tried to print it many times, so just be aware of this. So as an authoriser, I'm at least now aware that this order is hanging out there, and my alter ego self is eagerly awaiting this to take place. Now I'm going to do something somewhat strange here in that I'll get out of this, and I'm now going to put my other hat on, and I'm now going to be Ross Ferris, the order authorizer person. Now, to authorise orders, navigationally, purchase orders, transactions, orders, authorise orders. Rather uncanny, that. And the system will present me initially with a list of orders that haven't been authorised at this point in time. Now, you'll see that the order numbers have red underscores on them. That means if I wanted to get details about this particular purchase order, I could simply click on it, and the system will take me directly to the purchase order. And basically I could go and have a look at what it is that he was ordering. Once more, I knew that because it was on the purchase order initially. But I might question, why do I actually need to know about this? Why am I really ordering this product? There might be questions out there that need answering, that are important for my decision making in terms of, do I authorise this or not? Could be no, everything is peachy keen and fine. But what I'll actually do is come to this status field on the order. I actually have a question that I need to send back to my alter ego self. Now, these statuses, you may recall, you set up with codes of your choosing, and I just happen to have one here called Y, which is flagged to send a notification out. So in other words, when my order status changes, the people that should be told about this are told about it. So I'm just going to say, look, I need some more information. I can put a little story in here, tell me more about why, and I can simply save that. And if I exit, I'll be taken back to my screen where I had these details sitting there. And you'll see that my order status is now reflecting the fact that I've said why. So in other words, I've got a question out to the person, waiting for them to respond. Now, my alter ego self would have received an email about this. I would find out that the boss, whoever my boss happens to be, who's going to authorise this, has got some questions about what I'm doing. He might have wanted some additional paperwork or something similar to go out with the order. He might have wanted me to show that I actually had 3 quotes or something similar. Now, a handy way of having this sort of a dialogue is actually using the note log facility. Right, so what I can do is go into my note log, and here I might go, and if I have something useful, it might just be an accounting follow-up. Remember the notation types of things I can put in. We really need this because the old one is broken, so I can write him a story. If there were quotes and so forth associated with this, I could go and attach those quotes. I think I actually have some funny quotes here of some description. Right, so I can attach a quote to the thing that can be referenced and so forth as well, and I can go and save that as a permanent record against this particular purchase order. And what I will then do, because I've now cleared that query and I'd like the boss to reconsider it, I may have another status set up, which I don't have at the moment, which I'm going to call PP. I'm going to say, pretty please, or it might just be, realistically queries answered or something similar. But what I would do is, once I've answered those things, of course the obvious thing I would have done is gotten the phone and talked to the person, or sent him an email with the information he was after. But to take all of those things out of the equation, so to speak, I might just put in, pretty please, you have your answers on the note log. I save that, and actually, to really get his attention, I'll try and print it again, which, as we know, will send him out a little notification saying that I've tried to do it one more time. So with this little niggle that's just hit me as an email, sorry, I'm going to do something strange again. Keep your eyes on it. I'm about to change hats and become Ross Ferris, the normal person, as opposed to my alter ego. I'll now come in. Once more, I can see that my order status has changed. And of course, I could have sorted my orders by status to get all the things together, but I've only got, 10 of them here, so it's not a big deal. I can go and have a look at his order, and I can see that he said, okay, my answers are in the note log. I can call my note log up. I can call those details up on screen. I can see what it is that he's written by way of textual information. I can come and view anything that's been attached. But if all of my queries are answered, I could well be a happy person at this stage, and I'm happy to go and authorize his order. The one thing I might want to do is, part of my original query might have been, hey, can you confirm these prices? Can you lock it in? I might have queried whether we're actually getting these at $37, but yes, the pricing is there. Now, one of the things I can do is click this little button that says confirm order pricing. Now, I may do this as the authorizer, or it may also be something that's set by the person who is actually doing the ordering, so to speak. But basically, once that confirm order pricing flag has been set, you can't go and make any changes to the product's pricing at all. It really locks it in place. Now, you don't have to lock the pricing in. You can leave it unconfirmed if you want, but just be aware, and we'll come back and do this later on, that if you do confirm that order pricing, your prices are locked in. No more changes are able to get made. But if I was happy with that order, I would simply come and say yes, authorize it. I could then move on to my next and next and next and so forth, because this screen is basically letting me see all of the orders that are out there that I could authorize. And although I have unlimited credit, so to speak, there may be other people in the organisation that have, limits of $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever. And if there are orders in there waiting for authorisation that they could potentially authorise, then you could also go and authorise those for them as well. So it means that you can delegate the authorisation process, if you will. I'll now go and authorise that order though. What will happen at that stage is it comes off my list of orders that need to be authorised, and in the process of doing that, it's also gone and shot out an email to the person that originally ordered it. There we go. And it's sent an order out to the supplier and so forth as well. So the authorizer knows that it's been authorised. Me simply authorising the order has sent the order out to, now with yet another hat on, my supplier hat on. But I've also kept that person in the loop in terms of what's happening with his order. If we just come back at the moment, if we call up that same order, 1518, sorry, I might not have known that number, so just using my search facilities, I might say go and find all the orders out for that customer, don't care what status or whatever they are, and I could come and select it from here. It's my status of please. Once more, what probably should have happened initially was when this got authorized, that status got changed to something else. Maybe. But I just want to show you, at the moment, I can come in and I can adjust my price. So I might have been on the phone to the person because my alter ego said go and see if you can negotiate a better price. So I got that down to $36 and I can save that. Quite happy, no complaints, no anything else. If I say confirm order pricing, it really sets a lock on the order. So if I save this now, and I've said my order pricing is confirmed, you'll notice that my price column here and my discount and so forth are all locked out. So just be aware that if you lock that pricing away because you could have got a quote from this person, you don't want anyone to go and accidentally stuff up the pricing or something similar, set the confirm order pricing and it will just flow in through the receipt processes and so forth, quite happily unchanged. But if there could be some variation in there, and certainly if you're doing what I suggested initially in the first video of sending a request for quote out to a supplier, so you're waiting to get pricing back, obviously you wouldn't come and confirm the order pricing at that point in time. So that's the purpose of that particular flag. Now, the other things to note, I suppose, when I was saying before about you having your answers in the note log and so forth, if that's something you're going to do, this whole authorization process and so on, you shouldn't have to write that note there. It should be something that everyone just knows that, oh, right, the information I need is over in the note log. Be this information from the person who rejected the order authorization, or alternatively, information for the person who was actually raising the order in the first place. Now I'll just show you some more variations of the theme, I suppose. Right now, because of who I am, this order authorizer called Ross, I get stuff on my authorized orders screen. If I come across to my unauthorized orders list, it looks pretty much the same. 9 entries here, 9 entries there, and I have my ability to go and jump out to an order by just clicking on it from the orders to be authorized screen, exactly the same as the first screen. And you might say, well, what's the difference? Why differentiate between those? And the reason is, if I come across and change my authorizer, and remember, this is where I said this authorizer is exactly the same as my user code that I've used to log on to Visage, and rather than having an unlimited situation, I might give myself a limit of 1 cent, which of course I need to use an actual decimal place, and save. If I come now, from a security perspective, I would first of all need to be given access to this process. But if I had access to this process, and if I come in now with my 1 cent limit in terms of authorizing, this front screen is blank. Right? I can't authorize a thing because people are only trusting me with a cent again. However, even though I can't authorize anything, I can come across to my unauthorized orders list and see all of the orders that are out there waiting for someone to actually go and order these. And you'll see that I get a brief summary of all the information there. Now, this just comes back down to the fact that you can give access to this screen to people so they can see if their orders have been authorized yet or not, but they can't physically authorize these things. Now, once more, reading this, I see I've got an order there for 33,000 and I must be 8 other orders. If I come back and demonstrate one of the other things in terms of my authorizer again, I'm actually going to give myself a limit now of $30,000. And if we save that, now if I go back to that authorization screen, oops, got to love it when you misclick, transactions, orders, authorize orders. On the front screen, I've got access to the 8 orders that I could actually go and authorize. So I can see everything that's within my universe to allow, so to speak. But the unauthorized orders list still has that larger invoice hanging out there. So that stuff works together quite well and nice. Now the only other thing I wanted to show you is something we sort of semi-touched on, and that was the order status flag that we had down here. Now we're been alerted to the fact that the order's been printed, but amendments can be made. You may recall that was a parameter setting that I had as to whether I was allowed to make amendments to a order once it's printed or not. Realistically, you may want to set that to no, and certainly in terms of the confirm order pricing and so forth. But the thing I wanted to show or talk to you about is this status line going across here. There are lots of statuses that an order can go through. And one of those statuses is probably the one that you use most often now, or that happens by default, and that's to actually have no status there whatsoever. But the status is really there as a tracking mechanism for this particular order. So imagine we've sent our purchase order off, and it's not imagine, we know it actually went, and it's now arrived at the suppliers, and the supplier has acknowledged that they've actually received it. So on the 13th of March, we may now come and update the status of our order to say that it's acknowledged from the factory, and they might say no problems, and I can just record that against the order, and Bob's my uncle. Now you might say, well, what's the use of that? Serves no useful purpose. And if you're talking about domestic supply products, you may well be right. But if you're talking about imported products where the lead time isn't a day or two, it may actually be measured in terms of months, then letting people be aware of what stage or what status that particular order is up to becomes very important in terms of getting the information out to other people in the organisation so that everyone is aware of it. So what I've got here is statuses to flag the overall process that the thing might be. It's held up in production, or it's at customs, or it's at the packers, it's been received into the country, or it's been shipped. Whatever those statuses are, you decide, you control, you've got your own maintenance process for that. And the thing to remember here, I suppose, most of all, is that these numbers simply indicate how far through the actual delivery process or the supply chain that particular order is. But as I said, it's really just a way of letting people know about important things. That's it, I think, in terms of the order authorization cycle and how to use and why you should use these status codes and so forth. Of course, the thing I've mentioned here accidentally are these orders to overseas suppliers that take months and so forth. We haven't really dealt with those, but we needed a reason for there to be a third video. So if you're involved in importing, I look forward to seeing you there.